Hello, welcome to my creative session. This is Amory Julian Wetzel and I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today I'm going to share how to create this fun wintry card with the Bokeh technique. So to get started, you're going to need a card base. I am using Pretty Peacock, sorry. And then it is measured at 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4. My base cards, and this is what we're going to use for the bokeh effect, is 4 by 5 1/4. And this, I believe, is Summer Splash. And then white cardstock. Again, both of these are 4 by 5 1/4. I will include the measurements in our instruction guide. In addition, to create the bokeh effect, you will need something that has 3 different size circles on it. Let me bring this over so you can see those different size circles. And we're going to use a white daisy pigment ink. I am formerly from Close to My Heart, so I am using theirs, but Stampin' Up! Also has a white daisy or a white pigment ink. So we're going to use that to do the bokeh effect. And then for the die and the stamp sets that we're going to be using is I used the Frosted Forest die, and I'm using this tree. So I pre-cut them out again in Pretty Peacock and then in a white shimmer paper. And then for the sentiments for this card, I am using our brand new stamp that's coming out January 1st or January 7th, I believe is when it gets released. This is our new online exclusive item, and it is You Make Me Smile, and thanks for being so kind will be on the inside of the card. So let's get started with our project. So again, I am taking this light blue cardstock, and I'm going to blend them first with different color inks. I'm using the Summer Splash, the Pretty Peacock, and the Night of Navy. So I'm always starting out with the lighter color. And I am just going to start from off of the paper and just blend it in. And I'm going to go up a little more than a third on this. I love going around the edges and bringing the brush over the edges because it gives it more depth on the sides of the card stock. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside, and then I'm going to go with Pretty Peacock and start blending that up. Again, starting off, I'm using the Stampin' Up! Glass mat. So again, I apologize if you see some of the glare. And again, I ended up getting that little bit of a splotch because I did not end up starting off. And that's what helps with getting some of those blotches, but it's okay because we're going to start blending them together. And when we do the bokeh effect, it won't be as noticeable. I'm going to take again the Summer Splash and just kind of blend those two in. And I'm going to work this again a little bit more. All right, now we're going to go with the Night of Navy, just pretty dark blue. And I'm grabbing a piece of paper towel just to kind of hold these edges and prevent some of the ink transferring, which happens. to get on you at times. All right, so I have this one here. And again, going off, you can see how dark that is. And these stamp pads are so juicy, so you really just need to lightly touch them. And again, going over the edges, bringing that depth in. Taking some of the excess ink that is on the pad. And I'm going to go with this one, the Pretty Peacock. Make sure you get the right ones. All right. And then again, I'm just going to turn this around and bring some of this back in. Okay, so let's close up these ink pads, set these blending brushes aside, and clear off our mat. Cleans up really nice. But I like sometimes just taking a squirt of water to make it, just in case anything does transfer. So just want to clear that off. Okay, so we've got that cleaned up. And now we are going to use the white pigment ink. And I am going to use a blending brush tool like this with a foam dauber on that. And this is where we're going to need our 3 circles. And I kind of like going off the page, and then they're going to overlap. So what I try to do is I don't want the ink to transfer. So once I start daubing this into the on the card base, it's going to pick up some of that ink. So I like putting the white daisy on my mat directly, and I can always add if I need more, and pick some of that up on my blending brush. And I am more about daubing it versus blending, because it transfers more of the ink on. All right, so we have, I'll show you that first one there. And I'm just lifting it up, and I kind of want a little bit more. I want it a little bit darker. So I am just, and see how it's transferring some of the color up. I just want a little bit darker. And again, I'm going to add more. And now I'm going to change sizes, and I am going to bring this down a little bit. And overlap the circle. And that kind of gives that sparkly bokeh look. And that's what bokeh is. It's a sparkly background image, if you've seen reference to it on photos. All right, so now I'm going to do another one this size, and then I'm going to go with the smaller circle. So you do 3 different size circles. And I'm going to add more of the white daisy. And Just going to, again, continue to daub this. And there'll be a variety of different colors and shades, as you can see. So I'm going to try to go over this one again, add a little bit more. And that's what's fun when using the acetate. Now, you don't have to use an acetate sheet to do this. You can do a cardstock and just cut the 3 circles out on that. This actual sheet comes from the stamps. You know, when you get a stamp set and it has that cover protection, that's what I used to make this acetate sheet. All right. So again, I'm going to go down here, move this over. I'm going to go down towards the bottom. Now, some of this is going to get covered. We don't know how the trees will lie somewhat, but we want to just make sure that we're giving it enough. And this is a lighter color too. And that's why I chose the bottom half to be the lighter color. And this is more of a night winter sky. And overlap that. And let's do a medium off of this one here. And I think we might be good, but I'm going to add some more pigment ink. And it's also easier and better to daub because if you start doing more of a motion, you're more chance to move, as you can see, that cardstock. And then you won't have a circle anymore. So there we go. And I think that's good. So I think that's good. So I'm going to set this aside. Because it's on acetate, it's going to be easily to wash off. So I'm just going to set that aside. And let's clean up our board again. And pigment ink is a little bit thicker, so you're definitely going to want to spray this clean. I need to fill my water bottle up. Okay, I'm going to set this aside to dry, although it is water-based. The pigment ink is a little bit of a wetter ink, and I'm just going to set that aside before we spray some kind of like white snowflakes on that. So I'm setting that aside. And what I'm going to do here is, as you can see inside, I just highlighted the edges of the inside of the card before I stamped my sentiment. So let's work on the inside and we'll do our stamping. I am going to, again, use my favorite color, which is the Pretty Peacock. And again, I already have ink on this, so I'm going to just start before adding more ink. And I'm just going to go along the edges and kind of give it that cloudy effect all the way around the edges. Hopefully I'm not transferring with any ink on my fingers. I just thought of that. But my fingers currently are clean, surprisingly. I'm just trying to get all of this excess here, and we should be good. So I think that's a good enough coloring and just give that cloudy effect. Again, let's close this up. Well, no, I'm going to need this to stamp, but I do want to clean off my board again. Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm using the Happy Hibiscus, and I'm going to stamp, thanks for being so kind. This is going to go up towards the center top center here, straight down. And then I am taking a piece of paper, a little small, which will go on the front here, but this is going to say, "You make me smile." And there we go. Set those aside to make sure that I clean them afterwards. And now I'm going to take the last part for the inside of the card, and I am going to adhere this to the bottom of it. When I cut this out, just to give you a heads up, I hardly left anything. So you can just imagine on this piece of cardstock that when I was die cutting it, I kind of just went like that and die cut it here. But when I did the white glitter, I took a little bit higher and went higher above, giving it more of a snowy ground. So just keep that in mind when you're die cutting that. And I am only going to put adhesive on the bottom. You can use whatever adhesive you like. And just set that towards the bottom. I kind of like the leaves not attached, and there's more chances of it ripping or putting too much glue on. And I'm just going to snip off that excess and throw that away. Okay, and then let's put the inside of the card in. So again, I scored it already. And take my bone folder, crease it, give it a nice crease. We'll put that inside. Again, I'm just centering that on the inside of the card. And there we go. Okay, so now let's finish up this bottom piece here, or this top piece. And I just take a box that I have in my stash. I get tons of boxes, right, that come from my Amazon orders, from my Stampin' Up! Orders. And I am going to use the glossy spray here. But you can also use, so if you have the pigment ink refill, you can use that. It has a tendency to be a bit thicker, but whatever kind of white, you can use white paint, mix that up and put that on there. But I'm shaking this up. When you hear that ball inside, that means it's pretty well mixed up. Just opening this up, and I'm going to take out this, and I am just going to tap it and give it that snowy effect. I'm going to just dip it in again and do a couple of more taps. And there we go. Set that aside. I'm just waiting it to be a little bit dry. This is a big splatter right here, but we're going to be careful with that. And we're going to actually probably cover that up anyways. So again, I am just, again, putting the trees, my snowy trees, my wintry trees, to the bottom. And then I'm just going to trim this excess off. And complete the card I'm putting adhesive on here, and then we have to put our sentiment on the front. And you can choose whatever sentiment. I'm just sharing what I used for my sentiments. Whatever sentiment you need to send out a card. So, and again, I love how not putting the glue adhesive on there, it just makes it stand out. And I'm just going to put that off to the side here. Actually, I think I want to trim this off a little bit more. Okay. No need to have that much excess. And there we go. Nice, fun, wintry card. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.